Okay, so this is how it all went down. The bottom had to go slightly that way in order for these doors to be flush bottom and top. Now, I chose just to tweak the top inward, so I did that. That was my first step. Then I got these flush. Then, I had to pull the screw out of this hinge, right? So I pulled that out, made my adjustment. Then I put a new screw once it was all good to go at the very top. Then what I did is I proceeded to pull these shims back. I started here and here, and I just kept pulling them in and tightening those up, tapping with my hammer on a shim just to get those sucked in. Now I had to back these hinge screws out just a little bit because they were touching the frame, so I just backed those out, made my adjustments. Once I had it so that the tops and the bottoms were flush, then I put the screws back in, double checked. Then I also double checked to make sure I didn't throw the jam out of square, I guess. So now if you look at it, this margin or this gap is parallel all the way top to bottom. That's a good sign. And then the bottoms of the doors are flush, so with the top. So with that, then once this was set, because this is that will actually affect how the door's hung, then I had to re-straighten everything. Now, this is a good point, is a lot of times, if this isn't nice and straight, what'll happen is this will usually kick outward and touch the bottom of the door. Now that'll affect how your door closes. So that's why it has to be straight. So I had to adjust that, make sure that this is parallel. Then, because we pulled the bottom in, the center was humped out a bit. So we had to just pull the center in and realign this whole thing. It took me about 15 minutes. It wasn't the end of the world. Now I know the door is set properly. With that, everything's good. Now I can I'll pre-drill and land a screw on every hinge point. Then we'll be set. Then, we'll just, so I'll probably just go ahead and cut all the shims off, show you how to do that. Then we just got to shim and screw the top, the center here to make sure that this gap is even along there. And then we'll show you the next step after that. I just pre-drilled and fastened all my hinge points with screws. I'll just make this margin nice right here. What I'm going to do is, since that doesn't need to be tapered, I'll just shove one in backwards, this one in the other way. They're opposite of each other, it'll sit more square. Then I'll just tweak that. This actually doesn't need much. Pre-drill, screw that. Okay, so now that's secure. And this is how you cut off the shims. You just scratch with an X-Acto knife or a Olfa. So you just give it a couple of swipes and then just break it off towards itself. Oh, I should have did that one better because it left a little nub. There we go. Now if you're tight to a wall, you can see how this would be hard if your shim's a ½ inch thick. You could almost need a saw to do it that way. So just, now we'll cut all these off, get that cleaned up, and then I'll show you how this door latches, and then the next step is to get it latched and then do the door stops. That hits these striker plates that holds it. Now we have to have those in place before we can set our door stops. So you just see how those work. They just fit like that. Now the door stop will prevent the rattle like that. So with my ball catches and striker plates in place, I've cut and just loosely fit my top door stop right here. Now it's time to set it. Now I'm going to use my 21 gauge really fine brad nailer, and I changed it from 2-inch nails for setting the jamb to 1 inch to set the door stop. Now the reason I'm doing that is so that the nail doesn't go all the way up through and into the door frame, and let's say there's one spot that's not shimmed, especially in this. If it goes up and hits really hard, I might suck that up and take me out of, well, I might lose how straight my jam is. So that's why I went to the 1 inch. Then what I do is I want to get rid of this rattle. So I'm going to start by just fastening. I'm going to just squeak this up so that when the door shuts, I put a slight pressure on it so that there's no rattle. And I'm just checking it. Now I don't want to nail in the middle because that's where I put my screw. I just want to double check. Just going to set one. Check it. No rattle there. Now I gotta set this side, make sure it's good. A little bit, so I'll just tap. Okay, check it, it's good. Just land one in there. Okay, no rattle. There. Now really all I want to do, well, I'll actually do it with the door in place. So I want to put not a lot of fasteners, but I'm just going to put at least one more there so that this never moves. Same thing over here. Make sure you set one about an inch, inch and a half away. Now that's good to go. And then really, the rest, all you have to do is you want to go from where it's touching here, and you want to space the doorstop over on the hinge side about 1 millimeter away from the door. And the rest of the doorstop doesn't really touch. The reason you do that is it can get bound on you. So if your doorstop's too tight, let's say you're over here somewhere, you go to close this, say it'll just hit that and bounce, right? So it won't close properly. So basically I'll just taper this, I'll shut the door, make a millimeter gap against the door, I'll finish setting the top, then I'll close one door, and I'll just make a nice little millimeter gap, top to bottom. That way the door has room to close and it doesn't bind on this. And plus, that'll allow, when we paint the doors, it'll give it a little bit of room too. Really, you just don't want it getting bound. That's really all you have to do. You'll set this and the door is done. So that's it. That's how you hang a double door. So there's lots of little tips and tricks in there, and I hope that helped you. There's more. I forgot a couple things. With this door stop, I just ended it at the bottom of my jamb. You could just end it at the bottom of the actual door if you want. You can do it any way. And this is square doorstop, so I didn't have to miter it. Some are contoured, so you just have to do miters. It's a little trickier. Plus, we have to admire our good work. Nice and flush, and all the gaps between the door and the jamb are parallel and even, and nothing's binding. So just take a look and enjoy what we did. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or check us out on some of the following.